Here we go. Hello, everybody. Spider here, coming soon podcast, coming to you once again. San Antonio, Texas, being joined by Stephen Andrews. My man, how are you?
I'm pretty good, man. Thank you for having me.
I know. No. Thank you for your time, brother. I know we've been trying to get this going for a bit. Being
Yeah,
being a parent, being an actor, among everything else you're doing, man. I know time's pretty hectic, bro.
yeah. Tell me about it. And I gotta stop you right there. Did we plan on matching today? Can we
I know,
have to?
man. I was gonna say that you got the email, so that's a plus, bro. I'm
There
all
we
for
go.
it, man. But yeah, bro. Dude, I mean, let me start off by saying that I've been able to see your work for one thing, but I've actually the best thing has been me being able to see you like live while you're actually doing it on set, and it's a trip for myself, man. It's a good one, right? But to be able to watch you transition and actually, you know, change everything, bro. It's just, I mean, it's so real. Obviously, you did go to acting school, right?
Yeah, yeah. I went to acting school. It was the Texas Actors Workshop. I was there for about 2 years under John McAteer, and there's a couple other people he will bring in. Like Jay Purvis brought her, or he brought her in, and Jennifer Boyce. So I got to pick their brains, and every time I'm on set, if there's like somebody who's been in it longer, I listen, and I
Yeah.
just pick everybody's brain.
No, for sure. And I'm glad you said that because for myself, man, I mean, I've been enjoying it. It turned out initially I just wanted to do a BTS, get a lot of behind the scenes shots. I kind of figured it'd be a thing if I'm there and they're like, hey, we need a dead body, like jump on, right? I mean, I'm that guy, I can do that. But the fact that I'm able to actually watch the magic happen, man, it's happened quite a bit. I've been able to jump on behind a few producers, that director that you've actually worked with too, man. So I mean, when it comes to San Antonio, have you filmed outside the city? Let me ask you that.
So I have I mean, the furthest I filmed was probably around Lockhart and
Yeah.
the outskirts, the Austin, San Antonio area. Nothing really major. Not yet. I'm hoping to branch out to LA and to New York. I know a couple of people are telling me to branch out to New York because that's where, a lot of, more, I have more of a chance because of my look and as far as for a series because nowadays everybody they want to get those movies in, and I'm like, okay, let's be real about this. Would it serve me better if I go into a series or if I just do a one and done movie?
Yeah. And I mean, would you rather do a series? I mean, are you okay with the long days, long everything? I mean, for the most part, I don't know how long they take to film, but I mean, I would assume it's more than 2 days, 3 days.
It couldn't be as long as one time I was on a set, which was I think it was about 24 hours straight. And
Damn,
so if it goes on for longer than that, then yeah, we might have a problem. But I mean, I can deal with the long hours. It's not
man,
really
was
a
that an
problem.
episode of Fear Factor or what? What was that, man?
Right? No, it was a night shoot, and it was my very first gig. I went in as an extra. It's for this film that's it should be coming out. They're having delays though, but it's called On American Soil, and I
Wow.
went in there. It was my first gig. I went in there as an immigrant, and only because my buddy just kept on nagging me to do film, do film, do film. Finally, I'm like, you know what, fine. So I went, and then I show up at 3 p.m. and call time was like at 7 p.m. So, but it gave me a good opportunity to meet the director, and the director was, we chit chat, and he went away, did his directing stuff, came back, and he's like, "Can you read this line?" I'm like, "Okay, we will find you." He's like, "Oh, okay." So he goes walking away. He comes back, and he's like, "Well, you're not going to be an immigrant no more. You're going to be more of a militia. What size you wear?" And he had this big old box truck full of just props. I'm like, "Oh, okay," and that pretty much kick started everything, to be honest with you.
Nice, man.
Yeah, but that's
You
the
see,
furthest I've been as far as like filming wise,
cool, man. And like you said, I mean, as of now, I mean, you're looking
as of now.
to broaden your acting career. I mean, I will say this, man. I mean, the past 2 years, I've been following, indie films, and I mean, it seems like it's just blown up. I mean, there's so much of it now that you can get gigs. I don't want to say everywhere, but I mean, somebody's in San Antonio alone. I mean, I'm sure there's like 30, 40, even more, 100 people shooting on the weekend.
There's so
Um,
many people, yeah, that want to do this, I think it's also more of like, you know, what you see in Hollywood, and a lot of people get all upset about it, you know, like, oh, it could have been this. But then you got the indie films that they have more passion, you know, like the
Yeah,
writers, the directors, they pour their hearts into it. You know, it has more feelings. You know,
right.
it's not just going through the motion for a paycheck. And I think that's why actors tend to gravitate more toward the indie film, because not only can they collaborate more with the actors and or with the directors, but it's also more of, you know, channeling their craft, you know, especially for the ones like myself coming up and still don't have a quote unquote brand. It's more of, you know, like, okay, what exactly am I? You know, am I the dramatic kind of person, or am I an action kind of person? You know, it's just, that's the one thing I love about indie film, is just that you get to figure out who you are, and it's kind of like getting you ready in case you do, you
Yeah.
know, get that call, or you get that call back, you know, to maybe get on the bigger platform.
No, and of course, I mean that's where school comes in, right? I mean, when you were out there, I'm sure you guys worked on different characters. I mean, different like improv or
Yeah.
you know. So, but I will say this though. I mean, when it comes to the indie world, man, I mean, yeah, it definitely there's a lot of um those moments where it's like, you know what, let's change it, let's do this instead, and it's just like spur of the moment, and you're like, damn, okay, well, and you still knock it out, man, and that's what's great about, you know, me watching you guys work, because it's like it could be like a flip of a switch. I mean, you can just go ahead and go from being happy, okay, you know what, you're going to be upset, and you run it.
And that's what they taught us in the acting class that I went to. And you met a couple of my former
Oh yes,
classmates when you're
yes,
with when we were doing with Robert Cantu. You know, you met Ellen and you met Derek. We were in class together, and that was one of the things they always did. We would do these drills. You know, like, okay, we're gonna do this, and then we would do it. And like, okay, now you're gonna change it up. You know, you're gonna 180 it. Instead of happy, like you said, now you're gonna be sad, and you're gonna make it convincible. I'm like, okay, cool, cool. And it's just, you know,
yeah,
just repetition and just training and training and training, man. But some people, they can do it just naturally, and
yeah.
I envy those guys, because it's like, wow, it's just incredible, you know, when they get on there and they just action, and then, you know, totally different person, and you're like, wow.
Man, and let me ask you, because I'm sure, like, I mean, you know, when it comes to indie film, I mean, it's big when it comes to the community, but at the same time, it's small. I mean, everybody knows everybody. You know, I mean, you
Hmm.
guys work, I'm sure, with so many actors here locally from Austin, you know, surrounding areas. But I mean, is it always fun when you go out there and you see somebody that you worked with?
Yeah, definitely. It's always fun, especially like you said, with the people you work with, because you already worked with them before. Like I said, with Ellen and Derek, I mean,
Oh
I've had plenty of experience with them. You know, just, it was first, like, for me, it was kind of like getting into the groove. And I
yeah,
think, as you saw, like, the take after take, it just kept getting better and better and
oh
better
yeah,
and better. And that's one thing that you and I think Fernando Mora, they pointed out, was that every time they yelled action, you know, we just kept on bringing it more and more. We're like, oh, we could bring more, and it's just more like finding that niche, you know, finding, you know, your craft, and then, you know, with your buddies, it's just more of like, you don't have to worry about, you know, avoiding the sharp edges. You know, these are already, you know, sanded down, you know, because we had that experience. But at the same time, people that I haven't worked with, I love
yeah,
it even better, because, you know, I get to work with them, and it's more of well, I want to hear your style. Let
yeah.
me watch what you do. You know,
It's a
maybe it's
little
something that
challenge,
I
man.
can, exactly, I can pick it up. You know. So it's either way, it's fun.
No, and of course, like you said, I mean, from your first gig, I mean, how many films have you projects have you worked on?
My first total projects, I will want to say maybe it's only been very limited, and that's mainly because of me. I'm very picky on what I pick. You know, it's kind of like the old saying, like, quality over quantity.
Right,
You
right.
know, and it's like, all right, I did the whole extra thing, but, you know, if I can already bring it, you know, in my short time,
Yeah.
and why should I settle for the extras? And it's not, I mean, it's a little selfish. I understand that, but if I can bring it, you know, and people haven't complained about it, then you know, it's going good.
No, no, yeah. I mean, I agree, because I mean, for one thing, I mean, you went to school for it, man. So definitely, you know, you don't want to sit on it and just be an extra, you know, for 2, 3 years and then be like, man,
Yeah.
not get that opportunity because people get comfortable with that. They're like, oh well, he'll be an extra. That's fine. He's okay with it. But the
Yeah.
fact that you do want to make a career out of this, man. I mean, it's for real. This is something that you've been working on.
Yeah.
Every project, I'm sure you find more of yourself in every character.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's always each character I take on. I always ask the director like, what do you want out of him, and what kind of spiel would you like out of it, and then I'll mold it a little bit into like what I'm assuming he wants, and then when I bring it, I'll make little suggestions here and there. I always try not to stay. I always try to stay in my lane. I don't want to overstep boundaries or anything like that. So it's just if they agree with it, if they love it, cool. I did my job.
Nice, bro. And of course, I mean, I have a few images here, man. And of course, you have brought up the one with Robert Cantu, which was this one.
Yes.
Toxic abuse, man. And I mean, it was fun. I mean, it was all work, and being there, I did get to witness a lot of the action. I mean, you and your colleagues, bro. I mean, when I'll say this, I think there was, and it happened during that shoot, man, in two different scenes where I was actually on in front of the camera as well. And I kind of caught myself watching you guys that I forgot I was there, like I was like, oh crap, like I had to kind of, but I mean, but it was that good, bro. Like I'm not gonna lie, man. Like watching the live, I was like, damn. I said, okay, I can definitely see this. Oh, I think I lost your volume real quick. Hold on, give it a second, guys. Let's see if we can get this going. Let me see. The mic isn't connected. Oh, okay, it says your mic isn't connected, bro. I'll try to unmute you, but it's on your end. I don't know if you can disable the Bluetooth and just go from the speaker. Give it a second, guys. Of course, here with Stephen Andrews, chopping it up, talking about his up and coming projects. Hold on, let me see. There you go.
There we go. All right.
Yes, yes, yes. But yeah, man. But I mean, being that I was able to watch you guys live, I mean, it was like watching a play. Like it was just that good, And twice I caught myself like, damn. I said, okay, I gotta remember that I'm there, But I mean, you guys did great. I mean, the chemistry was definitely there. I mean, I could tell, like you said, every time that you guys would shoot, it was just got more intense. Um, I mean, all of it was fake, though, right? I mean, you weren't trying to get
Oh,
that aggressive.
of course. I mean, granted, me, Ellen, and Derek, we may have pushed the envelope a little bit more.
Yeah.
But like with Ruby and I mean, I every time I was like, I grab onto her, I would make sure she was okay towards the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, she was. I mean, she was actually laughing afterwards, like, damn, that was good. She agreed,
Yeah.
Definitely.
I mean, because Robert was like, okay, and you're gonna grab her, but like with intensity, I'm like, okay. And I just grabbed her, and after they yelled cut, I'm like, "Are you okay? I'm so sorry." Like, no, I was fine. That's just how I am. I just want to make sure everybody's okay.
And of course, I mean, when it comes to intensity, bro, because I mean, you are a former Marine. I mean, you are a Marine. Let me say that. You actually served.
Mm-hmm.
How many tours did you get in?
I was deployed 3 times actually.
Yeah. Okay. And I mean, during that time, I mean, was this in the back of your head, like the back of your mind, like the whole time, or was this something that happened after you left the service?
So when I was a kid, I always wanted to be in film. But as you get older, you kind of start realizing that's a very, very, very small chance that's ever going to happen. And I also wanted to follow in my uncle's footsteps. He was a Marine. And so I wanted to follow in his footsteps. And I joined the Marine Corps, and I kind of lost track of it. But it was always in the back of my head. Like I would always, like during my downtime, I'd be writing stuff or writing small stories and whatnot. And I got out, and I was a professional wrestler for about 7-8 years, and pretty much stopped doing that once I found out I was going to be a father. And when my son got to an age where he's pretty much self-aware, he's like, "Hey, I don't need you." I was like, "Well, I'm bored." I was like, "I'm bored. I got nothing else better to do." And that was around the time when my buddy, who was also another wrestler, you probably heard of him, is he goes by Gabe the Babe.
Oh, okay,
But
okay.
he always kept on pestering. He's like, Steve, you need to go. You need to go with these casting calls. Go to these. I'm like, no, I'm too fat, or I don't think they want me in that. And so finally, I went and everything, and then that's pretty much how this all just transitioned into it.
Man, and of course, I mean, when you were actually a pro wrestler, bro. I mean, what were you thinking then? I mean, were you thinking of making a career out of it?
Of course, I mean, just like anybody who gets in the pro wrestling business, I thought about making it a career, but at the time, bigger promotions, like they were, I kind of was starting to get, being realist, where it's like, okay, I'm not over 6 feet tall. I'm not 300 pounds, and at the time that these were the templates that, the bigger companies were going for,
Yeah,
and like the Hulk Hogan's of the time and everything. But nowadays it's totally different. Nowadays you got guys just looking like me, and they're making it big, which is it's totally, the industry has changed so much. But when I was a professional wrestler, I was like, well, maybe I can be the next Eddie Guerrero. Maybe I could be the next, Chris Benoit. Not fully Chris Benoit, but his style of wrestling. I
right.
remember my coach, he kept on making me want to learn all these different suplexes and executing all these different types of suplexes. So he wanted me to be a suplex machine, he said.
Damn. Okay, okay. And of course, I mean, talk about the beating that you would take, man, because I know, I mean, everybody keeps talking about it being uh
Fake.
yeah, bro. I didn't want to go there, but and I get it, bro. I mean, for me, I grew up watching wrestling here in San Antonio. 80s. I mean, we followed it throughout the years. But I mean, when it comes to being in the ring, I mean, you guys are getting bumped and bruised, man.
I remember my first, well, let me rewind that. So I went to two different wrestling schools. Well, one of them was just some, overweight guy saying, he was a professional wrestler and, he'll train you. I'm like, okay. And my first day was, I was literally taking a bump, you falling flat on your back, from standing up. And I didn't know, how to do that. And they're like, well, you're going to face the ropes and then you're just going to fall flat on your back. And then your legs are going to kick the bottom rope.
Yeah.
And so I did that like all day. Right. And the next day I couldn't even get out of bed. I remember that.
Yeah.
And come to find out that wasn't even the proper way to be trained. So I finally, my buddy talked to me into going to this actual school, Texas Wrestling Academy, and it's run by Rudy Boy Gonzalez. And come to find out, it used to be the Shawn Michaels Wrestling Academy.
Yeah.
And so lo and behold, Shawn, when he came out of retirement, he basically handed the keys over to Rudy, and he's like, well, you're taking over. And I was like, okay. So then, he trained me properly, and it was just like a gauntlet. It was like a bunch of us, and he like weeded out everybody, all the weakest links. It was like the first week or two was a lot of people running to the trash can and puking.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But I
Now, I
mean,
mean, and I mean, before wrestling, I mean, pro wrestling, did you actually? I mean, have you wrestled? I mean, were you in wrestling growing up?
no, growing up, I was a boxer.
Okay,
When I
okay.
was 6 years old, I started getting into boxing. My dad put me in boxing, was more for, just to defend myself, but I was actually pretty decent. And so we stuck with it, and I would box. I pretty much boxed all my whole childhood up until I left for the Marine Corps.
Yeah, man. And of course, I mean, you mentioned earlier, and I mean, I'm only going to repeat this because you said it, but your buddy had asked you about being going into acting, and you said no because you were fat. Now, is that something? I mean, was there a time where you were like, you know what, you don't want to, where you weren't working out, you didn't eat
Oh yeah.
properly? I mean, I'm sure,
Once I became full daddy mode, it was just, weight and exercising was on my back burner, and it was just full-time dad, and I just put on all that weight. I got up to about, well, I didn't get up. I was always about 255, 250, but it was, decently muscular, and pretty much it became a dad bod over. Once I started raising my son, I look in the mirror, I'm like, those aren't abs, that's a keg.
man. And of course, I mean, how long did it take you for you yourself to challenge yourself and be like, you know what, let me get back on this, because it's hard, bro. I'm not gonna lie.
So I remember I made the commitment of once I finally said, if I'm going to get in the acting business, I'm going to go all the way, you know? And so it's like, I'm going to do this properly. I'm going to go to this casting call, or I'm sorry, I'm going to, go to a talent agency. And I did. And I remember, you know, how you're in a Zoom meeting and you have like all the little
Oh
windows
yeah.
of everybody else. And I'm standing and I'm in there and I'm about, like I said, 255, chubby, gray beard, everything. And I'm looking at everybody else, and everybody's just super young, super,
Oh yeah.
cheekbones popping out. And I'm like, oh, and this is exactly what I did. I look and I'm looking around. I hit the end call.
Damn.
I literally just hung up, and I'm like, I don't belong here, man. So
Wow.
it took some convincing, and I'm finally like, okay, if I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this all the way.
Yeah.
So hired a personal trainer, went back to the boxing gym, went to that's when I started going to acting school,
Yeah.
and I mean, pretty much the rest is what I've pretty much put out.
No, no, for sure, man. And I was gonna say, man, when it comes to motivation, you got guys like this. I don't know if you can see the bottom, but it says Fernando, bro, great show. But the guy's always pressuring you, man. He's always posting
Oh, I
himself.
love Fernando, man. Fernando's awesome. We have a friendly competition right now. Who can get in the best physical shape we can by the end? I think it's the end of the month because we're both suffering from the holiday, gaining
Oh
weight and
yeah.
all that. I put on 24 pounds from the holidays.
Oh man. Okay. Wow.
Yeah, so I'm like, okay, I need to put some work.
Yeah, you see, and I think it was after Thanksgiving, man. For myself, I mean, they just kept coming, and I was like, "What the?" It got to the point to where I was like, "Man, I don't want this stuff in my fridge, bro." Like it was just like ongoing. So I had to put a stop to it. But even now, where I work at, they even like today, man, they had like all this food. They're like, "Hey, there's food, free. There's food, like different meetings, different. And I'm here cleaning up and putting stuff up, and it's just freaking like hard. I mean, and I don't eat it, but it's just like I'm like, damn, man. If I was in my 20s, man, I'd be in heaven, bro. I'd
Yeah,
be eating like a
tell me
nonstop.
about it. That's exactly how it started at Thanksgiving, and it didn't stop until the new year, until the last guancha was eaten.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, okay, there's no more junk food around. Not time to eat right. Let's do this.
And let me ask you, because of course, I mean, being a dad, for myself, man, I mean, I have two kids, right? And um, them growing up, I mean, they wouldn't finish everything, so I would finish everything. And it took me a while to realize, like, man, I got to stop ordering myself a plate,
Hmm.
because I'm just gonna eat my food and theirs, and it took a while, But I mean, once I realized, okay, you know what, I had to kind of watch what they ate, because I mean, half the time they were like, "Dad, I'm done," and I'm like, I'm not one for leftovers, man, so I would eat it. So I mean, discipline, bro. But now, I mean, you're back on track. As far as films, I know we dropped one earlier, of course, with Robert Cantu. There's one that I
Hmm.
did want to bring up, because I did watch this one right here, brother. Tell us about "It's My Rocking Chair Now."
That was a blessing in disguise. It gave me the opportunity to show San Antonio I can act in a very infancy stage of my film career. It was pretty much they basically gave me the ball and like, all right, kid, let's see what you can do.
Damn.
And I'm like, I mean, it was no pressure, but it's just I needed to like make this character believable by not saying much. As you can tell, my character doesn't speak much, so I had to rely a lot of body language
Yeah.
to bring the character to life, and a lot of facial expression. And again, that's where I learned from my wrestling career. My professional wrestling career was to be very animated. Our coach was always like, you have to sell. You got to sell.
Yeah.
So when you get hit, you got to make the faces. You got to make all these gripes, or he got you in a hold and you're struggling, And if you can't sell it on your face, I'm putting a damn mask on you. I'm like, shit, I don't want to wear a mask. So it's like, I don't want to wear masks. So I mean, I got really good at selling stuff, being
Yeah.
very animated with my features. So that helped out a lot as far as bringing what I learned in the wrestling industry into acting.
You see, and let me ask you, because I mean, I've talked to to others, right? And I mean, I know I have some friends that they want to get into horror, but they're like, man, I want to be the slasher. I don't want to talk. But I just realized too, I mean, they got to be able to sell it because I mean, walking around with a knife, I mean, you're gonna have to get into character, and you're still gonna have to be able to, have to perform, man,
Exactly.
because
A lot of people don't realize that even though you're not talking, there's still a lot of work you have to do. Because if you're not talking, you're going to be talking with something else. You're going to be
yeah,
talking with your body. One of the examples that I always tell everybody was Mad Max Fury Road with Tom Hardy.
oh yes,
How often did you hear him speak?
yeah,
He didn't really speak much, but
yeah,
yet he basically outsold his performance from everybody,
that's
and
true, man.
that's the one thing you got to realize. Like, so when it came with the slashers, I'm like, okay, I'm not going to be talking. I'm not really a slasher, but at the same time, I need to strike fear.
Yeah,
So one of the people that I always stood out, even when I was a kid, was Kane Hodder.
yeah,
I loved watching Kane Hodder because his Jason was so
bro,
animated without saying anything. He got to the point where his breathing was just, it was so intimidating. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to adapt something like that. That's like my study source material. And then I did a little bit of pantomiming that I had to learn off of because Peter Weller, when he was doing RoboCop, he had to learn how to, pantomime and do bird, movements because he said the suit limited him very, very, he couldn't move much.
yeah.
So he had to rely on, his body language and move with it to tell the story. And that's what I was trying to do on my rocking chair was use my actual body to tell the story of my character's really messed up, but he's angry.
No, and you mentioned Kane Hodder, man. He's actually coming to Converse this next month, February
Really?
28th. Yeah, he's going to be out there doing a meet and greet. Looking forward to it, man. I mean, people talk about Jason. I mean, he's my Jason, bro. Like he's been in so many other films that I'm like, you know what? So I'm definitely gonna be out there, bro. But yeah, just a little inside, notes. But maybe we'll go out there, bro. Go hang out with the dude, man.
Yeah, man, definitely.
But
I
let
was
me
so,
ask you. Let me ask you real quick, bro. When it comes to preference, I mean, I know as an actor, you don't want to limit yourself and be like, hey, I just want to do this. I mean, there's opportunities everywhere. But if you had your dream role, I mean, what genre would it be, man?
oh man. Honestly, it probably would be the action role.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm an '80s baby. I grew up watching Schwarzenegger, Stallone, Dolph Lundgren, Van Damme, Chuck Norris. These were the movies I grew up watching and idolizing. It's like I want to be like these guys. And granted, I may not be the same size, but the intensity and whatnot, I would love to do stuff like that. I think that's one thing nowadays that that's lacking is there's not enough action movies there, or enough action heroes, so to speak. There's a few. Chris Hemsworth is doing a fantastic job, carrying that mantle. And look, now he's Optimus Prime. That's crazy.
No kidding, man. I forgot about that. But
Yeah.
yeah, bro. And let me ask you. You mentioned '80s baby, bro, because I mean, growing up, I mean, we always used to climb trees and jump off them like nothing. Like, oh, yeah, we're gonna jump off, get on the roof and jump off like nothing, bro. We just roll with it. Um, you know, just thinking about it now, I mean, it hurts my knee. I'm like, damn, I can't believe we used to do that, man. But I mean, but of course, let me ask you. I mean, even now, I mean, would you be willing to do stunts? I mean, is that something that's open as well?
Well, matter of fact, you were there when we did the donkey lady stunts, and where I had to carry a Samantha Mackey and run through the forest. You know,
I told people, I said, the fact that we ran, I mean, even you guys running, bro, I don't know how nobody fell because there was a lot of
I was thinking that
stuff
the entire
everywhere, bro.
time. We almost ran into a ditch.
Yes.
Like right by the road. So I'm running, and Marcus, the director, he's right there. He's like, keep going, right behind us. And like I had to slow down. It's like, what are you doing? Why'd you stop? Keep going. I'm like, there's a ditch, bro. So we had to stop. But I mean, I just remember I'm running and I'm just hauling ass with her. And it's just, he's telling me, keep going. My legs are just so on fire. I'm like, Oh, I don't know if you could see it towards the end. It's like I'm not really running. I'm like speed walking because my legs are on fire and I'm like spiders are hitting me in the face because I'm
Oh
literally
yeah,
running through
bro.
the
Yeah,
woods.
that's another one too, man. It was the surroundings. You know, we were out at the park late at night, so of course, you know,
And it
we're
was in the Texas summer, so Texas heat. I had that get up on. Oh yeah, and I told Marcus, like we started filming, and then I was out of breath. Like, we'll wait till you get catch your breath. Like, no, use it. I'm exhausted. Use it. Let's do this.
yeah, it's good enough for me, man. And of course, this is the film we're talking about, man. The Legend
Yeah,
of the Donkey Lady.
yeah.
It was hella fun, bro. I mean, of course, I think that was the first time I got to see you in action, man. And I mean, you know, the having worked with others that were there, I mean, the chemistry was on point, man. I mean, it was fun. It was a fun, fun movie to make. I mean, not fun for you because you had to run with some, carrying somebody, but the rest of us enjoyed it, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it was fun. I got to meet, these were completely, with the exception of Marcus and Sabrina, um, this was an entire new cast that I haven't had the pleasure of working with, and I'm glad I did now. So next time we will work together because I mean we will,
Yeah.
and it's just going to be that much easier, and it's going to be that much better because we know each other, and we'll feel a little bit more comfortable.
Okay, man. I thought you had worked with some of the actors there because you guys did pretty good, man. I thought y'all knew each other.
I take that back. It was just me and Andrew Cortez that we worked together,
Oh, okay.
and
Okay.
it wasn't necessarily that we worked together. I met him at a screening for I think it was Revenge of the Sea Titan, um, and it was an indie film, and it was an indie short, and that's where I met him, and just real fun guy. We just hit it right off the bat, and really tall.
Oh
So
yeah, bro. Yeah.
he's like super tall. And I mean, I'm not saying I'm a short guy. I'm like 5'10", but I mean Andrew's like super tall.
No, no, for sure, man. And yeah, I always see him out there, and of course, I mean, fun guy, man. I mean, I know. I think they had said that he was a comedian at one point, and I'm like,
Really,
yeah. And I mean, I might be wrong, but when I heard that, I was like, okay, like that's
you
interesting,
can
man.
see it.
And you see
Yeah.
him, and he looks so poised, so professional, which is great, But I would
Well,
never,
he
I
was
would
a
have never.
firefighter, but believe it or
Yeah.
not,
Oh yeah.
prior to
Yeah.
this, so that I mean, I knew that, and one of my buddies I was in the Marine Corps with, he actually worked with him when
Oh,
they were both
nice, man.
firefighters. Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Bro. And of course, when it comes to films, because I mean, the stunts, action. I mean, of course, you mentioned that's something that you want to lean towards, but I mean, slasher, bro. We brought that up, man. I'm gonna bring it up. I mean, if there was an opportunity to play a slasher, I mean, would you be up for it, man?
I am actually a slasher in a film that oh my gosh, she's gonna get so mad at me because I can't remember her name. Krista, Salsetta, I believe.
Yeah.
She does a lot of the she did the Lucy the Lichen.
Yeah.
Um, she wanted me, or I messaged her out of the blue because I'm like, you know what, I'll do a slasher. I was already working on my rocking chair, and so I'm like, I might as well go. The saying, go full retard. So I'm like, you know what? Let me play a slasher one time. So right now we're currently working on one. It's called Dead Flowers, and it's literally a slasher with a very simple plot. Hey there, did you cut off? Did you go lag? What happened?
Here we go, man. Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm right here.
Yes, bro. I don't know what happened, but I think it was probably a hiccup. But you froze, and I was waiting. I kept talking, and I was like, "Oh man, I just caught it." But I apologize, bro. Of course.
It's
But
funny because
yes,
that happened to me too. Because you were talking and then you froze. I'm like, okay.
but man, but sorry about that, man. But yeah, I mean, of course, I haven't played a slasher, bro. I mean, that was out of your, like you said, you wanted to try something different. You know, you were still doing, the other film, of course. But I mean, is that something that you would want to go back to? I mean, having done it now, I mean, would you have changed anything?
The first film, no, actually, everything. I think everything was, the way it was given to me, and I felt like I gave that role justice.
Yeah,
So, I mean, I was satisfied with my work, and if everybody else was happy, then I'm happy. To be honest,
yeah,
I'm that kind of person.
nice, bro. And now let me ask you: is there one genre that you haven't played yet? I mean, is there a character out there that you haven't done?
I would love to do a periodic piece.
Oh,
I
nice.
mean, I take that back. I've done periodic pieces on Real Stories with Christ. I played Peter in there, but as far like a western, I would love to do a western. Um,
Nice, nice.
I just remember my dad was a huge Clint Eastwood fan, and growing up, I began to appreciate him more the older I got.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely a western.
Nice, bro. And of course, I mean that's one something like myself. I mean, growing up, of course, with my pops watching Gunslinger,
Yeah,
Bonanza, watching all these shows back in the day. And I think for the most part, I mean, there were reruns for us, growing up. But I mean, we did get to watch a lot of those, and I mean, dude, that's all we did was watch, Western, wrestling,
yeah.
horror when it came to whenever I got a chance, because mom wasn't too fond of it, but we used to watch all that stuff, man. But yourself, I mean, because you were born and raised here in San Antonio, correct?
Yeah, I was raised here born and raised in San Antonio, and actually grew up on the West Side. Believe it or not, a
Okay,
lot of people
okay.
freak out when they realize that I'm a West Sider, that I grew up right there on Guadalupe and 19.
Oh,
So
damn. Okay.
yeah, so they're like, you don't sound like it. Well, you spend time with a bunch of rednecks and hicks, and you tend to, pick up their accents and
Oh
whatnot.
yeah. You see, and
Coming
that's funny. Funny you say that, bro. Because I mean, I grew up right there on Gerald McMullen and San Fernando, right there by Las Palmas. A little bit
Yeah,
up.
I
And
used to run around the cemetery back in
oh,
the day.
oh yeah, yeah, bro. And for me growing up, and I got into comics. My dad was always like, I go to work with him on the weekends, and every time it was like gas station, I grab a comic book, and
Mhm.
I used to read a lot, as a kid. So when I got to middle school, it was one of those where they would ask me to get in front of the class and start, reading.
Yeah,
And this was I went to Gus Garcia, and then I went to Truman, and it was one of those where they were like, "Man, your reading level is like good. Like we're gonna put you somewhere, higher grade." And it was good, and then it was bad because I was small, dude. I was a little kid for my age, and then I was there with older kids,
yeah,
in middle school. I mean, all the West Siders had like mustaches and shit. They
yeah.
were they looked like grown men. But
Yeah.
so it just kind of killed. It just made me even more nervous, more shy. It's I used to hate it because they wouldn't pick on me, but they'd be like, "Oh, yeah, get the baby," or "Hey, get," and I was a little guy, but yeah, I mean, it was the same thing every time I would talk to people. I would tell them like, "Yeah, I grew up on the West Side," and they're like, "Nah, man, where are you from?" And I'm like, "That's not good. I grew up right there, like on the West Side, man." I was like, "I don't know
Yeah.
how else to say it," but yeah, man, it's just I mean, the whole reading thing helped out, but at the same time, I wasn't. I grew up like doing retro. I used to skateboard like in the early '80s, bro. I still skateboard. I still suck, but I still skateboard, man. And but it was one of those things that kind of kept me away from everything else. Like the whole gang thing, the whole,
Yeah.
and I just kind of kept on my own and kept skateboarding. But yeah, bro. But what high school did you go to? What did you
So
attend?
so I first went to St. Gerard's High School, private
Okay.
school, and about my junior year, I ended up getting expelled, and I graduated from Lanier.
Oh, okay, Bogues.
Yeah, so
Nice.
proud of the West Side, Lanier Voc alumni, class of 2001. So
Oh, okay, okay, sweet, brother. I was actually 92. Went to Kennedy High School my freshman year, and then after that, we moved to what was considered the north side back then, right? Woodland Park. We
Woodlawn
moved up
Park,
there
yeah.
and went to Jefferson the last years of high school, man. Just got out and same thing, man. But it was fun, dude. I mean, there's a lot of things I wish I would have done. I wanted to get into theater in high school. A lot of my friends were. I was a quiet kid, so I didn't do it because of that. I was embarrassed, but I was like, damn, I wish
Me
I
too.
would have.
When I was in high school, when I was at St. Gerard's, they had drama, and
Nice.
you read the plays and everything, and I read it with some intensity and emotion, and you would hear the chuckles in the background, like, man, just because I want to be into it, everyone's all making fun of me. I'm like, okay, so he crossed the street, so you have to just, deadpan the whole thing, just so you won't get made fun of.
No, no, I hear you, man. It was tough, dude. I mean, it was a great lesson. People ask me. You mentioned you getting back, pursuing this because the kids were older. People ask me as far as there's a lot of things I wish I would have done, man. I mean, I've been covering combat sports for years, but acting was one of them. I mean, right before COVID, I went to like two auditions that went nowhere, but I was like, man, I want to try it. I want to do something. People ask. Oh, I mean, I've get people that ask me, and they're like, "Man, do you feel like you started too late?" And I'm like, "No, because I got to be dad. I was there for my kids growing up. Like, the weekend came, they wanted, I was separated from the kid's mom, but they were like, can you pick us up?" And I'm like, "Sure." Like there was no question about it, man. And it was, I missed out on a lot, but at the same time, I gained a lot. My kid, I'm still close to my kids. It's like,
And you're still doing it now. It's
oh
it's
yeah,
never too late. That's the one
no,
thing I'm starting to come in terms with. It's that it's never too late to pursue what you want to do. I mean, I've seen actors, now that man, they've been at it for so long, and it's like now they're getting their push. So it's like, just you don't give up. And that's one thing I'm trying to, keep telling myself is don't give up. There's always gonna be competition. There's always gonna be ups and downs. It's just gotta keep going. Gotta keep going.
And let me ask you, because when it comes to auditions, I mean, are those something that you're doing now? I mean, because for the most part, I think a lot of the filmmakers are just contacting you directly, right?
I've been very blessed, to say the least, that that's exactly what's been happening. They'll contact me, and I think the bonus aside, I think it's more of a what I was told that I have a look, and I think the bonus is that you can actually act. so so it's kind of like they're happy with that. But I mean, I do submit auditions. I do submit commercial auditions, and it's a little bit different than film. And right now, in my opinion, I don't think I'm wired for commercial. I think I'll stick more with the indie films and just submitting for actual films because I tried it, and we did the whole I'm filming in the shower holding on to this the whole shampoo, and I'm like, okay, I don't think I was supposed to send it like that. Like, okay, we're just gonna do this, and that's pretty much how it is. But yeah, I do slowly do submissions for auditions and whatnot, and hopefully I get it. But it's kind of hard because you got to keep on updating your headshots. And my last headshot you saw I had just a little 5 o'clock shadow, and now I
Yeah.
got a full beard, so now I have to update my headshots.
No, no, no kidding, man. And that's another thing I've noticed too. Like every time I see people on the set, and I'm like, oh man, it's got full set of hair, man.
Oh,
Like
in this case, I mean, fully clean shaved both
yeah.
both times. Yeah.
Man, and of course, bro. I mean, being here in San Antonio, like you said, you're looking to broaden your horizon when it comes to acting. I mean, of course, hopefully soon. This year, man. I mean, it's a great year. Last year alone, I mean, I was able to be out do a lot of behind the scenes shots. When it came to productions, it's exciting, bro. And I mean, let me ask you this. I mean, when you're out there. I mean, obviously you have to work and you go out there to perform, but I mean, do you still kind of get like, man, like I can't believe I'm doing this?
I mean, not when I'm on the job, but sometimes I'll if I'm just about to doze off and I'm realizing like I got to get up tomorrow and I got to go film. It's not many people that can say that. That's
Yeah.
pretty awesome right there. But then the pressure starts setting in. You're like, I got to get up and I got to go film. I mean, because me, I'm a perfectionist when it comes to stuff like that. You know, if they're not happy with my performance, I will do whatever it takes to make that performance better.
Yeah. Nice, bro. And like you said earlier too, man. I mean, you know, you'll stay on your lane, of course. I mean, when the director telling you what they want, I mean, you're still learning. You know, you're still open minded. I mean, you're still, and I think that's one of the one of the things that's gonna actually propel you into something else, bro. Because I mean, a lot of people, you know, and I've heard it, you know, just in general. I mean, not just here locally, but I'm saying like people that are like, oh man, I'm ready to go. I know this. You know, they stop themselves from growing. You know, they don't want to learn anything. They don't want to pursue anything else, and it's just you're already closing doors. You know.
Yeah, and again, that's another staple that I learned when I was in the wrestling business.
Yeah.
When I was in the wrestling business, my coach would always say, the one thing is shut up and listen. Shut up and listen. Never speak. You know, you're working with other guys that are more senior to you. Shut up and listen. So that's what I take now in the film industry is I shut up and listen. Whatever they want. Okay. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Done.
You know, I mean, I may, you know, suggest something here and there, but you know, if it's cool, you know, I'll
Yeah.
always say with respect, you know, do you think this will look cool? I'm just asking if they're like, no, okay, cool, yeah, whatever you want. It's just simple like that. So, like I said, I use a lot of what I learned from the basically the economics from the wrestling industry, the jargon and everything. I bring it to the film industry, and it's helped me so much. I think only one time it didn't work in my favor because the person I was trying to explain this logic to, they thought I was like arguing with them. I was like, no, I'm not arguing with you. I'm simply stating that's my ethos. That's what I go, you know, that's my mantra right there where, you know, it's just shut up and listen, you know, and that's helped me a lot.
No, no, and it's true. I mean, there's a lot to learn. Like myself, I mean, like I mentioned earlier, you know, doing a lot of BGS. Like every director that I've been like on scene for, like I'm picking up traits. I'm watching what they're doing, and I'm like, damn, like you know, I'm learning. You know, that's my school right there. You know, so I'm just soaking up knowledge
Yeah.
and seeing what works and you know what I mean. I mean, because you never know, bro. But I'm definitely gonna use it for everything else. Like this year, like if I you know they tell me to do something and I'm like, okay, you know what, I'm gonna try this. You know, from getting into the actor's reaction to you know, making everything better. You know, like for me, like I mean, when I jump on projects, man, it's always you know the stars. I'm like, man, I'm here, you know, make them you know look even better. You know, I'm here just to be taking my space and taking my spot and just you know letting you guys do what you do, man. But
And
yeah,
I think from my personal opinion, I think that's why I like independent film so much is that there's not so far I haven't had the opportunity or I haven't bumped into anybody that has a ego. Everybody is,
yeah.
you know, at the same level, you know, like no one has actually gotten a big ego or anything like that. And that's what I like about that. But, you know, I mean, you're always going to get those bad apples and you just got to be the better person and just, again, shut up and listen. Like, okay. All right.
You see, I just learned that one, man. So I'm definitely gonna take that to heart, dude, because that's a good one. You know, it's like sometimes you
That's
just
one of
gotta
my
look.
mantras. Yeah, that's one of my mantras right there was shut up and listen. And the other one is never forget where you came from.
Exactly, brother. Exactly. And of course, man, and I got to plug in when it comes to JJ and Ocho also, man, because I think you've worked with him as well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I worked, JJ, I worked with him numerous times. We're right now on King of the South together. And we just filmed about 2 weeks ago together. Of course, he was in the back producing and, you know, calling the shots. And, you know, me, I was just in there doing my thing. And Ocho, we were on American soil together. And we, at first, I think both of us were kind of feeling each other out, you know, because when he told me he was a professional wrestler, and then I, you know, was a professional wrestler, but I'm like, who trained you? You know, and then he's like, well, I do hardcore. Like, oh, that's hardcore. It's not, you know, legit. So, you know, we kind of had like a little bit of that animosity, but then the last time we were on set together, it was like literally we shared the one room that had AC, and the whole weekend. And it comes to find out, we're like, you know what? You're fucking cool. You know, pardon my French, but I'm like, you're pretty damn cool. And I was like, I like you. So,
No, no,
and then it's just now every time, you know, me and Ocho, it's just, you know, always cool to see one another.
no, no, for sure, man. And of course, and let me ask you because when it comes to filmmaking, you said you used to write a lot when you were in the service, man? Are you looking? I mean, have you written like a
Oh
script
yeah.
or have you worked on
Oh
it?
yeah. I'm actually working on right now, and I don't want to give too much away. But, you know,
No,
I've told Marcus Davila what I wanted to do,
nice.
and he just says finish it up, you know. And I'm literally I'm almost done with it, so I can pitch it to him, and hopefully he'll like it. Hopefully Sabrina will like it. It's kind of right down their alley, you know how they
Right.
like, you know, doing the whole donkey lady and you know
Uh,
practical effects and all that stuff, you know. You know, so I'm sure they're gonna like that a lot.
nice, nice. And of course, this is personal. I mean, it's just something that you came up with, or are you feeding it off something else? And you don't have to say what, but
Well, it's kind of. I will say that it is a supernatural adventure series
nice.
because it's just too much to cover in a full feature. You know,
Oh,
so
okay.
what I'm writing is a proof of concept, and if it goes well, hopefully, you know, just like the Donkey Lady, we can crowdfund it and make it into an actual full feature, or in my case, actually, maybe like we could pump out 5 or 6 little episodes.
Nice. Hell yeah, dude. That'd be dope. Hell. No, and of course, man. I mean, being from here in San Antonio, man, not just in San Antonio, but I mean, growing up, you know, Legend of the Donkey Lady. I mean, when they talked about that, I mean, for me, it was like that was stuff that you know when we were growing up, you know,
Yeah,
stories that they were telling us, bro. So for me, it was a plus because I was like, man, I want to be in that. Like, if anything, like that's home. You know, that's here. You know, it hit a personal note, but it was fun, man. I mean, I'm glad I was able to help behind the scenes and you know just watch you guys perform, bro.
yeah. When I saw that he was, you know, in pre-production for that, you know, when he was going to put the whole thing together, I messaged him right off the bat. I'm like, I don't care what I got to do. I will tap dance for you, bro. I need to be on this film because this is literally
Yeah,
part of my childhood.
yeah.
You know, I mean, there were so many times in high school, you know, we'd drive and we'd go down to the haunted railroad tracks and the aqueducts and for the weekend. And, you know, sometimes, you know, people would be like, oh, you can see the handprints. You put the baby powder on there. And
Oh yeah.
yeah, this was just part of my life. This was part of my childhood that I just needed to be on this project. And lo and behold, I mean, he already had me in mind, right? Even before I even contacted him.
Oh man, you see, and that's cool, man. That's one thing that I love is the how cool everybody is. You know,
Yeah.
from directors. I mean, of course, when you're on the set, it's all business. But I mean, the fact that they can actually reach out and just you know contact you guys and say like, hey, I got this idea, man. You want in?
Yeah, and I'm very new still. I mean, I'm absolutely new in the film industry because um, I do feel awkward every time I, you know, you friend request somebody in the industry, and I'm like, okay, do I follow up with an introduction like, oh, hey, how are you? I'm so and so, and I'm an actor. You know, it's kind of like, you know, like, okay, great, you accepted. Now what? What do I do now?
I know it's like that weird moment, right? You're like, we're
Yeah,
friends.
you know, so far the ones that I actually, you know, haven't been in contact with are the ones that actually took the initiative, reached out to me. I'm like, oh, okay, because I mean, I believe it or not, am a 100% shy, and it's just to like, I'm always very awkward, you know, being, you know, social and whatnot. Believe it or not.
No, no, I'll say this, bro, because I mean, I've been covering combat sports for years and photographer. So I was always cage side, ringside. You know, I've covered like the UFC, Bellator, Strike Force, like all these big events. And for me, it's like being a shy person. Everybody's like, man, like how can you still do it? You're in front of the, and I'm like, dude, I'm behind the camera, bro. Like that was my shield. Like I felt like nobody could see me. Like I was like, hey, everybody's just looking at the camera.
Yeah,
You know, so I mean, that's what kind of got me through all that. But I mean, there was occasions where on one it was in Houston and I think it was for a regional promotion, but I was kneeling down. It's the first time that I actually had to shoot on top of a platform. All the other promotions were like on the ground, so I'm just there kneeling.
right.
On that one it was freaking awkward, bro. So I'm trying to get comfortable, my leg starts cramping, so I grab the cage to get comfortable, And this one dude that I knew, you know, he was in another media company. He's like, hey, he's holding on to the cage, ref. And I kind of looked back like, what the hell? And they put me in a spot, bro, where after that round finish, I had to like get off and go walk around because it embarrassed the hell out of me, dude. So I was like, damn, okay, you know what? And I went back and I just finished it, you know, but it was just, you know, I mean, people are like, hey, I saw you on TV. And I'm like, oh shit, like, yeah, bro, because it's the camera's right there. You know, you don't see it till you're done. But it was fun, you know. Got to meet a lot of fighters, a lot of promoters, matchmakers, you know, for the most part. Shoot, man, like years back, I mean, I was one of the go-tos when it came to matchmakers, bro, to find fighters, find sponsors, find locations, find, you know, and it kept me busy, so I enjoyed it. But you know, took some time off, and now it's like, I mean, I just dib on it a little bit here and there, but it's still fun though.
Yeah, trust me, I'm awkward when it comes to these mixers. Matter of fact, there's a mixer going on tonight at the Cove, but every time I go there, I'm like, oh, I don't know you.
I know.
you know,
like, just like Facebook, man. You're like, hey, how you doing? I'm an actor.
Okay, and then what? Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, bro. And of course, man, I want to wrap this up, bro, but I wanted to ask you two things. One, when it comes to writing, are you planning on maybe writing as far as like telling a story later on? Like, say years from now, you'll be able to sit back and be like, man, I've done a lot. Like, I would love to put this on a book.
I've been asked already a bunch of times that you need to write your life story. And it doesn't even have to be my life story. It could be just, you know, it could be literally my life, but it could just be told in a different narrative. So yes, definitely 100% on that part.
Sweet, bro. And the second question is voice acting. Have you ever thought about doing voice acting?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. There's been numerous times that I thought about, well, okay, if I don't look that great, I could always just use my voice and just be a voice actor.
Yeah,
you know, I've been very fortunate so far. Someone's actually be like, you know, hey, if you want to do voice acting, I can help you out. I'm like, oh, great. So yeah, absolutely.
Cool, man. Well, bro, and as far as projects, man, what do you have coming up next?
So we are wrapping up King of the South Sunday for the season finale, and then Saturday. Before that Saturday, I have another project that we are wrapping, which is an episode of Real Stories with Christ, where it's my story, but we're doing some additional reshoots. So we're just finishing that up, and then of course we have Krista with Dead Flowers. And then I have one with Carlo, where I actually play Russian.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Damn. Are you doing like the whole Rocky Balboa Russian or?
Oh, no. I'm just, you know, playing the whole, you know, have a Russian accent, you know, and just,
man.
Yeah. That's the only reason I auditioned for the role, because I wanted to play a Russian.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's cool, man. I mean, I you know, that's one of the things I know. I've been put on the spot when it comes to combat sports, like interviewing people last minute, and that's one thing that I've always like, man, I'm waiting for that. Like, if one day they're like, hey, dude, I need you to do this, like, I'm gonna be like, shit, I'll do it. You know, it might not be great, but you know, I'm not gonna say no. But opportunities, man. I mean, that's one of those things I tell people. I said, they keep asking me how to do this, and I'm like, man, all you got to do is show up, man. That's it. Yeah. You know, the rest happens. You know, they pick you or they ask you, it's like you just do it, and that's it, man. But you know, I welcome all opportunities, man. So I'm definitely grateful.
Yeah, absolutely,
brother. Well, thank you, bro. Anything you want to say before we wrap this up, bro?
No, just shout out to everybody in San Antonio, and shout out to everybody in the film industry. And thank you very much for having me, like always.
No, for sure, brother. I appreciate you, man. Everybody out there, of course, once again, this is Spider Coming Soon Podcast. Till next time.